Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this session 3A, Circular Economy Across Several Value Chains and Case Studies. Here we are with Olubukola and I, from Universidad Viña del Mar. We welcome you all, and we hope you will enjoy our presentations. We will ask you to understand. We will have 5-minute presentations, and then after the presentations, we will be making the questions to the speakers. So during the presentation, you can send your questions through the chat on this session or through WOA. We will be taking the questions, and at the end of the presentation, we will be asking your questions to the speakers. So when you make your question, try to put also your name or your organization in the chat in order to know who is asking. And also participants maybe will wish, if you wish, you can put your name, your organization, and your contact information in order to make some networking through this session. After the session, we will have a voting procedure to select the best presenter and the most interesting research. So this votation will happen on WOA. As you can see, the platform of the conference have here polls. So you click on polls and you will have all the list of the IDs that we will be projecting also here, and you can choose the presenter you like the most and the research you like the most. So let's start.
Yeah, just 1 minute, Lorena. Okay. So I just also wanted to mention that because I want to try to look after the time, just so that we can have good time for questions at the end. Once you are at the 5 minutes mark of your presentation, I will raise up my hand using the Zoom functionality. And so within 1 minute, if you could round up, that would be great, just so that we can have to address questions at the end of it. So once my hand is raised, it's kind of more or less saying you've got 1 minute to go, okay? Thanks very much.
Perfect. The most voted presenters will be awarded with a prize at the end of the conference. You go, Vicky. Our first presenter is Esther Oka. She's a researcher in the Swiss Institute for Scientific Research in Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, and she will be presenting her work involved with YAM value chain actor for integrate soil fertility management through a circular economy. Let's go. The floor is all yours.
Thank you for the floor. You can see my screen, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to talk to you about a topic that I'm addressing in one of my PhD thesis chapter, to know how we can involve the actor of YAM value chain for an integrating management of soil fertility through a circular economy. So first of all, why YAM? So YAM is a tuber like potato. It is grown by small-scale farmers in the tropic. YAM contributes to food security because it is a staple food for around 155 million people. It's also a cash crop. And as we can see in this picture, the yam bed is in Africa, which provides 17.4% of the world supply. So for the specific case of Ivory Coast, yam is so important because the country is the third country producer after Nigeria and Ghana with 7.2 million of tons. Then why integrated soil fertility management, and why is it so important to involve value chain actors? So based on sustainable agriculture developed by pretty in, we found a study, and after this study, we found that current production system in Tenebwe, which is one of the major production areas in Ivory Coast, the system is not sustainable. Therefore, a project called YAMSIT and Farmer co-constructed integrated soil fertility management techniques, which some techniques require cash as outflow for supplies for fertilizer. So it is a limit for adoption, as small farmers face already some constraints like accessing in credits. Therefore, based on a circular economy, we would like to analyze the opportunities in the chain to provide fertilizer at lower cost. So as we can see here, it's the current functioning of the system, and the current value chain consists of different marketing channels that are part of a linear economy. And there is a lot of weaknesses, also opportunities, but we would like to focus on local area and on one aspect. So yam waste from post-harvest losses and from household consumption, and a social aspect, which is conflict between cattle breeder and farmers due to crop damage caused by animals left in free range. So our proposal is here. Through a circular economy, we propose that this model can allow to recover raw material in the process. This is not yet applied, but we think it is feasible. So in this process, we still have production, distribution at local level, consumption from households, which provides waste that can be dry and incorporated in animal feeding, and the cattle manure, then the cattle manure can be used by farmers to continue production. So, so at perspective, we think in view of farmers' header conflict due to crop damage caused by livestock, a model based on circular economy could be beneficial for both parties. So the village authorities should allocate area to the herders to pack the animals, which would prevent crop damage and also facilitate cattle manure collect as source of organic fertilizer. And villagers should also sort out the waste and residue of the yam for the cattle feed. So of course, there are other aspects, for example, logistic to take into account, but it is necessary to create a framework for discussion based on a participatory approach, making it possible to create the context for soil fertility management with involvement of all stakeholders. So thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you for speaking to the time.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Esther. That is incredible. Very interesting presentation. So I'm just going to be introducing Diogo Lopes, who is an adjunct professor at the Federal University at São Carlos in Brazil. Diogo is currently a wood industrial engineer, and he is working as an adjunct professor in the school and is into life cycle engineering. So please, Diogo, thank you very much. Over to you on your presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Diogo Silva, professor at the Federal University of São Carlos, UFSCar, in Brazil, and the coordinator of the Sustainability Engineering Research Group, ENGIS Group, in the country. I'm going to present here the work entitled Circular Systems of Bioenergy Production, a Comparative Life Cycle Assessment, a study of briquettes in Brazil based on 4 different recycling allocation methods application. As we know, circular economy aims to keep products and materials flowing in cycles. And when we take a look at the biological cycles, there are few studies then compared with technical cycles applications, for example. And recently, the guideline on environmental footprint have included the circular footprint formula, CFF, as a new way to deal with recycling materials. However, there are other approaches very used in LCA applications with multifunctionality issues, as for example for recycling. And some of them are the 50-50 methods and also the avoided product approaches. So as a purpose of this paper, we aim to answer this research question based on the following goal: to investigate the application of 4 different allocation methods in the production of biomass briquettes made of secondary sources, wood waste, and also based on eucalyptus forest in the country. The scope of this study. The functional unit for the life cycle assessment application was the production of 1 megajoule of biomass briquettes in a cradle-to-gate perspective. The IPCC and the CED environmental impact assessment methods were used to calculate the environmental impact potentials related to cumulative energy demand and the global warming. For these 2 impact categories, we also have evaluated scenario variation, where we have changed some parameters, as for example the wood supply based on waste and also based on dedicated forests. And the scenario variation was also designed to take into account these 4 allocation methods to evaluate the production of biomass briquettes in Brazil. Here we have the results for 2 pictures. The first one, we can see the global warming potential results per function unit, and the second one, the CED results. For the scenario of using dedicated eucalyptus energetic forest as wood supply, the impact results achieve values up to 978 kilograms and 9,160 megajoule per function unit. The scenario of 100% wood waste as raw material, which means the current scenario. On the other hand, we can see a reduction of the environmental life cycle burden up to 100%. The use of the quality adjusted 50-50 method showed the lowest environmental impacts for global warming potential in the current scenario, and also for scenario 1. Scenario 1 is a scenario to study the influence of equality of the raw material, the recycled material to produce the product. Also, you can see on this second picture that the avoided product approach showed the lowest values for CED in all the scenarios. So the benefits of circular systems in bioenergy production show that the CF method presents the highest impacts for scenario 2 in global warming and the CED, as you can see here in blue color. So as a conclusion, here you can see the formula used to apply this allocation method, and these parameters in red color, they in general are limited for application in biological cycles involving, for example, the production of bioenergy. The no assumption of some parameters, such as the environmental burdens of the waste disposal and the rate of recycling of material after using the product, have affected a lot the methods, with special attention to the CF. The circular footprint formula is still not very suitable, and the simple methods can generate better results as the 50-50 method and the avoided product approach based on our results so far. Here's my acknowledgement for the São Paulo Research Foundation, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Diogo. Very interesting presentation. Well, now we will have Dr. Stefanakis. Dr. Stefanakis is Assistant Professor at Technical University of Crete in Greece. He's the Editor-in-Chief of a Springer Journal, Circular Economy and Sustainability. He will be presenting Nature-Based Solution case study for circular management of industrial effluents. Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and we can see your presentation.
Okay, full screen, not the presenter's mode.
The presenter's mode, I think, because yes,
Let me swap
we need
them.
to swap it. Right now we have the presentation.
Okay, so thank you very much. So I will talk about nature-based solutions, and I will show some case studies when we want to deal with some industrial effluents. Of course, I don't need to say a lot about circular economy, what is the necessity now for this transition to a circular economy, and the goals and the motivations, the global issues, environmental issues that we are facing. Of course, in order to promote this circular transition, we need to find new tools. And to find new tools means to find appropriate solutions in order to deal effectively in an environmentally responsible way with all these global problems, environmental issues we are facing. And nature-based solutions is a new concept, relatively new concept of how we can provide such solutions. So when we talk about nature-based solutions, mostly we refer to the concept which is called biophilia, meaning that we are inspired from nature, we take ideas from nature in order to develop new concepts and new solutions to the problems that we need to solve in order to achieve a sustainable society. So in the water sector, generally, these are the different various services that nature-based solutions can provide, as you can see here. But I think you will get the point better once we move to some case studies to see what we are talking about. So I will show you case studies from the industry, because this is where we have more challenges due to the composition of industrial wastewater, higher pollutant loads, higher flows, very diverse composition and complexity of this wastewater. So we need to find new sustainable solutions that also serve a more circular approach in the industrial wastewater management. So this is a glass manufacturing industry, which is in Iran. And what they did so far for the wastewater, they just collected in simple tanks and transport them to a centralized wastewater treatment plant. So the goal here was to reduce the management costs for the wastewater, reduce the freshwater consumption also for the manufacturing process, and of course, in doing so, minimize the environmental footprint of the whole industry. And this was achieved by selecting a nature-based solution. So in this case, a treatment wetland that you can see in the picture to treat the effluent, the wastewater from that industry. And by doing so, we also managed to recycle the treated effluent back to the manufacturing process. And in this way, we reduced the freshwater consumption for the industry, the overall cost for the wastewater management as well, approximately 35%. And of course, now, because a natural treatment system is used based on the use of plants, only natural processes and natural materials are used. So we practically eliminated the carbon footprint from the whole wastewater management process. Another example now is from Brazil. So this is for mine drainage. So this is a really large mine area, which is close to the Amazon. And there are really large flows of mine drainage that are coming from the whole processes there in the extraction of the minerals, as you can see here. So in this case, we have 5 such systems which are under construction. And the goal is to provide treatment from mine runoff, from the streets runoff, from the waste, tailings, and of course, from the processed water. And here you can see just some pictures of these wetland system, treatment wetland systems, which are currently under construction. And another facility, another example is in the Middle East, in this case, to treat oily produced water from the oil and gas industry. It is the contaminated water that is generated during the oil and the extraction and the recovery of hydrocarbons. So we are talking about really huge volumes of water that are generated. So in this case, in Middle East, again, a natural treatment system was built, the one that you can see here. In fact, it is one of the largest such facilities in the world for any kind of industrial effluent, which has almost an area of 5 million square meters. And the advantage here is that no chemicals are used for the treatment of the hydrocarbons, and even no electricity. So the flow is only, we use gravity flow across the system. And the nice thing is, besides the effective treatment and the removal of hydrocarbons in the system, is also the significant savings in terms of greenhouse gas emissions compared to what was the previous mechanical and deep well disposal solution. So as you can see, the energy savings are more than 99%, which translates to respective greenhouse gas emissions. And not only this, by having these systems and further actions that were taken to exploit the treated effluent, for example, in biosaline agriculture, where commercial plants were irrigated, or for the development of aquaculture, and also the exploitation of the rich biomass for the production of compost, which is used in the irrigation field, or even for biogas production, which covers the small energy demands of the facility. So in this way, we practically eliminated the CO2 emissions, and we closed all the materials of cycles and conserved energy. We made a completely closed system, and there is no waste generated from that treatment facility. And it serves as a model of how industrial effluents can be managed in a circular way. And this is just some pictures of the irrigation field where treated effluent is used for the irrigation of commercial plants, for example, as biofuels. And of course, by using nature-based solutions, we have also some nice benefits, ecosystem services. For example, this facility is used now by migratory birds during their trip, since it is located in the desert environment. While we found that by using this solution, there is a temperature decrease by 10 degrees Celsius within the surrounding perimeter of up to 1 kilometer of the facility, as you can see in the thermal picture here. So overall, by using nature-based solutions for industrial effluents and generally for wastewater treatment, we can serve the concept of circularity, and we can enable circular options such as reuse of effluents in agriculture or recycling effluents back to the manufacturing industrial processes. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation, Alex. That was pretty interesting. I will be introducing our next speaker, who is Matheus. And Matheus will be speaking on Better Building Manifest, mobilizing key stakeholders to collaborate on substantially transforming the construction industry towards more efficiency and sufficiency of research utilization. Matheus is currently the founder of A Revolution, Circular Economy Innovation in Beirut at Germany, and is also an advisor on circular economy and material design. Over to you, Matheus. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will also share my screen, and you just let me know if you can see the right one.
Yes, we can see that. That's very good, Matheus.
Thank you very much. I'm here actually not alone. I'm here together with Willem, who's also taking over after a couple of slides. And this work came out as a result of our research on circularity in the building and construction sector, how this can enable a more sustainable building and construction sector. But then we decided we make it a bit bigger. And it's a great opportunity to present today the Better Building Initiative in the context here of the World Resource Forum, especially in the circularity context. Yeah. Well, the reason why we talk about it today is very simple. We simply realized throughout our research that we need to accelerate innovation in the construction sector very fast. And starting, as I said, from the circular economy innovation, we saw that there are so many innovations already available in the construction sector. which are simply not being deployed or being deployed too slowly. And that's why we decided we need to take some action, and we need a catalyst. And this is how we define the Better Building Initiative, as a catalyst for making the construction of our built world more sustainable, or substantially more sustainable. First, just to show to you why we came up with this. This is the reasons why innovations that we identified, why innovations are being picked up so slowly in the construction sector, mainly because of hurdles and innovation blockers that originate from the structure of the industry. So what we need to do is address these blockers, and here are 4 points that we identified as concrete action points. This is nurturing a more innovative and sustainable culture in the entire industry, then also bringing industry innovators together with the industry, bringing innovators together with the industry to create trust and learn from each other, orchestrate demonstrators of innovative construction, especially also circular construction methods, and also motivate all players to contribute actively. Yeah, you may of course say that there's already a lot of initiatives with aiming at a similar target, and that's what we also see. But what we've seen is that all of these existing methodologies come with significant limitations, and if we want to act as a catalyst in this, we need to really focus on committed organizations and committed partners, and we need to provide hands-on expertise that actually builds trust within the industry. And what we found is really important is to look into not to actually prescribe methodologies, but really actually provide a framework to stimulate the partners and participants and the stakeholders to define their own targets, so that we can actually move step by step with the improvements. And now I will hand over to Willem
Thank you,
to
Matthias.
present the rest.
And as Matthias already indicated, we believe it's essential that all the stakeholders work together on this. So we focus on the stakeholders that are motivated and really committed to make a change and to have a substantial impact. So here we list all the different stakeholders that we need to involve in implementing on a large scale. On the right-hand side, you see here the 5 main activities that we are planning to do in this initiative, built around the manifesto. First of all, help to change the culture in the industry, in the building industry, the established companies. Building industry traditionally is a very innovative industry. So we have to work on their transformation with professional transformation coaching. On the left-hand side, we build demonstration sites so people can get hands-on experience with new materials, different building methods, and also recycling methods. We work on workshops with regulators and certifiers to make sure that also new building materials and methods can be implemented and are allowed to be implemented. On the right-hand side, we organize curated matchmaking between innovations from researchers, from startups, together with the industry and the builders and the clients. In the future, also AI-based to make it more efficient. And last but not least, if we find problems that are not solvable yet with existing solutions, we will scout for those solutions. Next slide, please. And we do that in a holistic approach. It doesn't make sense to take one part of the building process and focus on that, because you will have a negative impact easily on the other aspects. So we look at the material, we look at the design, also design for sustainability, design for recycling, those kind of topics. We look at the processes for the actual building process. Thank you for the warning. And we focus on the whole chain, so new construction, renovation, repurposing, full sustainability, so all the aspects in an integral way. And we have here defined 5 principles for our manifesto, and those will be implemented. Next slide, please. Yes, those will be implemented by people that are really committed to support us. And we only ask them to pick out of this list of 12 targets, to pick 2 of them, and saying we will implement a 10% improvement on those two types, those two targets in the coming year without getting worse on the other ones. And that's a complementary approach to the science-based targets. And that's what we want to achieve. And if there's anybody that wants to support us to build up this initiative and get people enthusiastic about it, researchers, innovators, large corporations, contact us at the listed contact details here on this slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting materials, and William, that is excellent. Thank you very much.
And now we will have Dr. Robert Reinhardt. He's consultant of United Nations Environmental Program, and he will be presenting us UNEP Eco-Innovation Supplement for electronics for improving their circularity in SMEs. So it's you, Robert, you can go on.
Many thanks, Lorena. Brilliant. Let's stay on the slide directly. Well, hello, everyone. Many thanks for the kind introduction. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have the opportunity to speak here today at this very interesting conference. I'm here today to present about the Eco-Innovation Supplement, or in short, the ECO-I supplement on electronics. We as UNEP developing this jointly with the World Resources Forum Association. This is a GEF-funded project from the Global Environment Facility, and the project is titled, as you can see on the slide, Global Best Practices on Emerging Policy Issues of Concern under the SICEM project. And SICEM is quite a long name, but stands for Strategic Approach to International Chemicals Management. The purpose of the supplement is really for electronics to provide guidance on how to manage eco-innovation opportunities in the electronics sector in particular. The next slide, please. So what is eco-innovation? In very short terms, eco-innovation can support SMEs in making their business more sustainable, more profitable, and more resilient. We have the definition here on top in the gray box. It is the development of a business strategy that, and application of a business model that incorporates sustainability in all business operations based on a life cycle approach and in cooperation with the relevant value chain partners. And we at UNEP really understand eco-innovation as part of the broader movement of the sustainable and circular business model innovation movement that really helps you to reduce your social and environmental impacts, as well as the impacts along your value chain, again, to make your business more resilient and more competitive. The next slide, please. Here we have some of the key elements that eco-innovation is based upon, what I already touched upon in the previous slide. It's really based on the 3 dimensions of sustainability, on life cycle thinking. So talking about data collection along the value chain using, for example, LCA, business strategy and models. So really about making strategic change happen in your operations. And last, as I already said, value chain cooperation with the relevant partners. And as I said already previously, it's really a tool that's developed for companies to develop more circular and sustainable business models. And we at UNEP developed this tool to really have those SMEs in mind within the developing countries. The next slide, please. Here you can see what the actual implementation process of eco-innovation looks like. On the left-hand side, you can see the 6-phase approach. Starts with the prepare phase, goes through setting the strategy and business model, and is really a circular approach that kind of ends with the review phase and then goes back in the prepare phase. You can kind of imagining it as I would almost say macro, meso, micro approach, so really understanding where am I, where's my organization, what is going around me, and what can I do inside my organization to really make the sustainability changes happening. On the right-hand side, you can see what the actual ECO-I, eco-innovation implementation process manual looks like. This you can download at the website that is listed here on the slide. In that implementation process, you can find more than 30 templates. For example, how do I collect data along the life cycle? How do I identify my value chain partners? How do I identify what business model I have? How can I change my business model to become more sustainable? And templates like that, for example, using the business model canvas and quite of the, let's say, usual suspects in the business modeling and strategy arena. What we've already done, we already published sector-specific supplements, for example, on the chemicals industry, on the agri-food industry, and these are already available for free download, of course, on the website that you can see here. So you kind of have the template and the actual translation into sector-specific elements. So what we're doing now actually as UNEP, we're partnering with WRF to develop this eco-innovation supplement for the electronics sector. And as I said in the beginning, and under the name of this Jeff-funded project, a particular focus is giving on chemicals. And why is that? I think we're all aware that the demands for the certain critical resources in electronic products are ever increasing. And in particular, the ever more complex mix of the so-called chemicals of concern, they really need to be better managed. And we believe that this is really a source of innovation for circularity, for sustainability as part of these new emerging business models that can really address that. The next slide, please. So what is the aim and the target of the supplement? As I already said, really the aim is that we grasp the opportunities of eco-innovation, or as you may call it, sustainable business model innovation in the electronics sector, using the 6-phase approach step by step that I showed you in the previous slides. And we're actually doing that with validation in SMEs within Latin America. And again, the target audience here are so-called intermediaries who are actually providing support to those companies in the electronics sector, again, targeting specifically the SMEs. And such intermediaries are service providers, for example, consultancies, technical organizations, or the so-called National Cleanup Production Centers, or NCPCs, which we hope would then translate that methodology and really, it's a hands-on approach really with the SMEs to make them understand how you can transform your business model. What is quite interesting is that actually, you can, if you would go through the eco-innovation methodology, it could be a case that you change your business model entirely from, for example, producing parts to positioning yourself somewhere else in the value chain, and then, I don't know, for instance, be part of a reuse value chain with new partners along that value chain. So it's quite a timely, relevant methodology. The next slide, please. So what we're actually doing, and I'm showing some first results here as the project is of course ongoing. As I said before, we are applying that methodology in Latin America. We're actually using a fictional business case, and we picked a Brazilian manufacturer that we call Silicon Latina SA, where we try to really demonstrate how this methodology can be applied. But we're also doing the validation, as I said, in Latin America, and we're currently undergoing the pilots with 4 Colombian companies. I'm not going to read out the names in detail here, but they are more or less covering areas such as cooling systems, equipment, or they're assembling computers. Something I'd really like to highlight here is that we're currently undergoing a public consultation of the supplement until mid next week. My colleague Sophie, I think, will post something in the chat now with a few more contact details from us. So if you're interested in providing feedback, please do get in touch, send us an email, and we will then send you the supplement, the current version with a feedback template, and we'd be very interested to hear your opinions. And before I wrap up, next activities we've planned, we're going to have a training in mid-November. This is really for the new companies that are joining the pilot. We're doing a first assessment by December, also with these companies joining the pilot. And last, we hope that we have the first business strategy, or the new business strategy and roadmap developed by more or less mid next year. And then I would like to wrap up in the next slide, please. Thank you very much. I mean, just something I want to highlight briefly is please do check out our eco-innovation website, where you find a lot of resources if you're interested to do some more reading. And also I would like to highlight that we have what we call eco-innovation mailing list, specifically one actually for experts in the electronics sector. So if you're interested to receive or be put on that mailing list, please do let us know. We're always regularly sharing drafts or studies that we're working on. And we're always very happy to disseminate those and hear feedback from all the experts like you are. And on that note, thank you so much. And thanks for listening. And if there's any questions, please let me know. Cheers.
Thank you very much. So we will proceed with the questions. A short note on the voting procedure. After the question, maybe we will be ending by 2-3 minutes, so you could vote, and if there is any problem, you could ask us, so we could go through it. We have some questions. Some of them, the speakers were answering in a private way, but I think that questions can help all us, could be interest for all of us, and to understand also the answers too. So I will be with the first question to Esther. The question is how to motivate and support the villagers to collect the valuable residues.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, yes. Okay. How we can support villagers for collect waste? Because there is two parts of waste. There is waste as raw material for feed animals, and there is also waste from animals for farmers for produce yam. So yes, it's quite a bit difficult because if you want to target this point, there is other issue like in village, the problem of streets, the problem of infrastructure. So it's not so simple, but now in our project, the project is not yet ended. So in our project, we try to help farmers like some subvention, but in the long term, we need the government to do something to continue from village scales and try to increase at the region and for the country. So it's what I can say. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Esther. That was really helpful. I think the next question goes to Diogo, and this question came from Yvonne, that can you possibly expand on the 50-50 method and why you actually selected it?
Okay, thank you for this question. The thing is, our focus was to compare this method with other approaches to deal with allocation and LCA and compare the results with the CFF method in a practical way. So that's why we have selected this to see how far can be the results when you use this new formula proposed for circular footprint and compare with more conventional and traditional approaches as well. That was the main motivation to select this method.
Thank you. We also have another question for Matheus. There is a saying that change starts at home. How receptive is the German construction industry to the Better Building Initiative? Are there any examples of stakeholders' interest to join?
Yeah, thanks for this question. I think Willem already also gave an answer in the chat, and I can just confirm this. There is a strong there's an interest on both sides. On the one side, from the consumer side, so really the people who are planning to build for themselves in the private sector, they are pushing towards or interested in sustainable solutions and more circular solutions. So they are really bringing in the push and demand for the industry. And also we see from the construction sector a significant wind of change, so to speak, towards searching for innovations that allow them to look into lowering the carbon footprint. There are certifications now being implemented that also, for example, in Germany specifically, the DGNB, which is the Society for Sustainable Building, which is looking also how to certify circularity in the building sector. And this is, of course, being transferred also into the industry. I don't know, maybe Willem, you want to add something on this as well?
No, let's leave it at that. And let's have some space for other questions as well.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Matheus and Williams. That was very helpful. I think the next question goes to Alex. So Alex, you've even commented on the news, just that nature-based solutions are not exactly new, and you've adequately responded to that. I was just wondering that there's a question for you, especially on the difference between biophilia and biomimicry. But more specifically, you really looked at environmental impacts and economic impacts, and there was not really much on social impacts. Could you potentially respond to that?
Yes, regarding the question of the two terms, biophilia and biomimicry, I already replied, but to say it is simple, simply biophilia is this innate need we have as humankind to be more exposed to nature, because this improves our well-being, reduces our stress, enhances our creativity. So based on this need that we have, and then comes biomimicry, which is exactly the process where we learn from nature by observing nature, and we are inspired by nature, and in this way we can develop solutions which are based and inspired by nature, solutions to any problems we are dealing, and we want to find an ecological and environmentally friendly solution. And the other question was?
That's a question.
That's the question. Okay.
Yes, there is another question, but for Robert. That's what are the main challenges in eco-innovation implementation process in electronic sectors? And I think we just have 3 minutes, so will be our last question, I think.
Well, that's a very good question. I think a very good question is very important is to really make those SMEs understand why they should engage into these processes. I think at times you may be jumping too fast with telling those companies what to do, but often they're probably lacking to understand what are the really quick wins and very obvious wins that you should do to first move into more eco-innovation processes, because offering a green product is essentially not going to be the solution. It might in some cases actually maybe trigger more consumption. So I think it's really maybe make them understand the complexity around circularity, and also that circular economy is not the solution to it all. And I think there's much more to the full picture than just the circular economy, especially looking at the social dimension for those companies, because being circular does not essentially mean that you're socially sustainable. That would be maybe one of the key challenges I would observe is the social aspect.
Thank you very much. So to our participants, thank you very much for being there. We have 35 persons. I will gently ask you if you could go and vote for the best presenter and the most interesting research work you find on WOBA. As I show you, we have in this platform, there is second point is polls. So you can vote, and if we can display again, Silvina, the names and the IDs, so we could help our participants to vote. Maybe each one of you could, because we have just 1 minute, I don't think we do have more time to a last thought, but I will ask you all if you could go on WOBA and vote for our presenters and their research work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well. Everyone, I really enjoyed the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.